Alright guys, in this vehicle specific video, we're going to be doing a 2017 Mazda 3. We're going to be doing all the side windows and the rear window. Let's get started right away with doing the outside prep, then the door panel removal, and then we'll do the inside prep. Alright, so on the Mazda 3, the only screw that we have to take out is the one behind the plastic, behind the handle right here. So let's go ahead and pop that plastic off with the hook tool. Just stick the hook behind there and pull back. Pops right off, straight off. Take the screw out, it's a Phillips head. We'll roll the window down completely. We'll grab the door panel from the front here, and we're going to release this whole front section. And then we'll release the back edge. And now we can grab the gasket, pull it up and out. Put the window back up in the position where we're going to clean the inside. We didn't do the inside prep yet. We want to take the gasket out first. Move to the back door. And the same thing here. We have the plastic behind the handle. I'm going to pop that off. Take the one Phillips head screw out. So once you have the screw removed, we're going to go ahead and roll the window down completely. Go from the back edge here to release the back clips. There's two. We're going to stick the gasket jamming stick in there. Twist that and pull back at the top at the same time. And then you're going to have two clips right here holding the gasket on. They could be fairly tight. Sometimes they're loose, sometimes they're tight. You want to pay close attention that they get released. If they don't come released, you can grab your hand down here, pull the gasket up, roll it off with the panel, and then pull the gasket away, and it'll release from those two clips that are part of the door panel. They just go into this slot right here, and sometimes they get stuck. So we got that removed. We'll go ahead with the inside prep, and then we'll lay out the bulk material. Now when you're cleaning these quarter glass windows, you can see on the top edge from the outside that the gasket is very tight. So we're going to take the gasket jamming stick wrapped in a blue hog towel, shove it in there, and just try to get all the dust off of the gasket. And this also loosens up the gasket a little bit to make it easier to install the film when it comes to that point. You can even take the Easy Reach, open the gasket up and spray a bit of soapy water in there. This will do two things. It'll lubricate the gasket and the glass between there, and it'll also flush out any debris that's between the gasket and the glass. In the meantime, we're going to cut out the bulk material. So let's go ahead and lay that out. This car is getting 20% Standard Pro. Again, you can use a 20-inch roll like I tell you in all of my videos. I just use a 40-inch roll because that's what I have. We'll lay out the back door. We'll start off by cutting the excess material off. Rolling it up for the other side. And then we'll start with the front door. So the bottom edge on these front doors, and I believe the rear door, is not straight. It's a little bit curved, so we're going to overlap the bottom edge and then cut that factory curve that's there. Followed by cutting the front edge. And then we'll go ahead and shift it forward about 1/4 of an inch, making sure the bottom is lined up. We'll mount it in place and then cut the back edge. Then we can go ahead and roll it down and cut the top. When you roll the window down, you're going to want to roll the tint, the bottom edge up, so that when it comes down to this mirror area, it can lay nicely in there. If you don't do that, it'll scrunch up and you'll get a crease in the bottom corner. Mount the top to cut the top. Looks good. Nice and consistent. We'll round out our edges. Do a continuation of the back edge and the front edge first. And we'll clean up the bottom corners. Always the bottom corners nice and tight. And then the front edge. It's a little bit jagged when we put the razor in, so it's going to clean that up a little bit. We have the top corner, top rear corner. We'll keep that nice and tight as well. Mount it on the outside to be applied. And you don't want to go past the mirror with this because it's so close there. You can let the back overhang. Wipe the top. We'll do our spray squeegee spray. With this, you may want to use the 3.5 inch on this car because this front edge is so tight. There's not much room for it to fit. 3.5 inch overlapping strokes is more than enough. Grab the material. And just like any other bottom loading, we'll get that bottom front corner in there first. Slide it down into place. Sliding it forward, then laying the bottom back edge down and allowing that back edge to lay down into place, lining up the top edge. It's moving around a little bit on me, so I'm going to do some first soft squeegee presses just to mount it in place. You can see it still moves. I'll slowly work this to stick. If the material starts to move around a lot on you, you can heat it from the outside to get it to stick up and tack a little bit faster, which I'm going to do. Then I'll give it a final squeegee. Make sure that it's in place. Go down the sides with the corner tools, using the yellow contour. When I do the front edge, when the windows still roll down, I like to go from bottom to top rather than top to bottom. Then we'll take a gray lid coat card with the Blue Hawk towel and push out the top edge. And since it is so cold out, I'll go across the top with the heat on the outside and the little chisel on the inside, pushing out the top little half-inch section. Focusing on the back corner. Working out any little contaminations that could be there. Then we'll go ahead and roll the window up and finish this off. Pull the panel back to give you more room to squeegee. And then we'll finish the bottom off with the gray lid coat card and the heat gun on the inside, just to seal the bottom edge up. Shrink any little fingers that pop up. We didn't really have to use the easy reach on this window, but I'm gonna go over it just to make sure that the sides are laid down really nice behind the gasket there. Same thing with the front. So let that sit with the gasket out while we do the back door. It looks like the bottom edge is straight, so let's line the straight edge of the tint up and it does line up pretty nice, so we're gonna leave that as is. If you don't have to cut the bottom edge, don't. We're gonna start by cutting the back edge on this one, on the back door. Shift it back about 1/4 of an inch, mount it in place, just like any other rear door in a car. We'll clean up our sides and corners, and we can mount it on the outside to be applied. Grab our material. And we'll do the same bottom load method like we will on any other rear door. Getting that corner in there first, laying down the top corner, sliding it into place, bringing down the back corner, evening out the overlap on the sides, the front and the rear, and we can go ahead and squeeze it in place. It is a little cooler out, so the film is going to slide around. In this situation, you can add less soap to your solution, but I'd rather have more room to play with it than it's tacking too fast. So I'll leave my soap concentration the same. I'll just heat it up from the outside a little bit, making sure that I have an even overlap in the front and the rear. Squeeze you off the water, heat it up, increase the tack time a little bit. And then we'll go inside and do that final hard squeegee press. Still holding it in place. Then we can push out the top sides. On this, since the gasket is fairly open, I'll use the gray lid coat card. Gets a firmer press than the Easy Reach would. And then we'll push out the top with the Blue Hawk towel, gray lid coat card, and the heat gun. Paying close attention to make sure the film's not moving. Again, working out any little imperfections while pushing out that top 1 inch to 1/2 inch section across the whole top of the window. And we look good, so we'll roll this up and we'll finish off the bottom. Go down the sides with the Easy Reach to get all the way down to the bottom. And then we'll seal the bottom edge with the gray lid coat card and the heat gun. Do a visual inspection from the outside. I use the heat gun to 1, heat up the window and help dry the tint a little bit faster, but 2, to remove the water residue by evaporating it, give me a clear view of what the final product is. One little tip here on this back window, you can see this gasket right here is a little bit uneven and it curls into the window a bit at the top. This may not be consistent with all of the productions of the Mazda 3s, but you can see just on this one that sticks out. And if you were to cut all the way to the top there, you'd have an uneven front edge cut. So that's why I typically only cut with about a 2 inch, 2.5 inch material left on the top that I can use a straight edge and cut. So you always want to check the gaskets before you lay the material out. Now we can go ahead and do this quarter glass window. So when we do the quarter glass window, we'll spray it up with soapy water. We have a bulk piece left over from the door windows, so we'll lay that out. Cut as much excess off as possible. Save that for the other side. And the first thing we'll do here is mount it in place. Start by cutting the bottom edge. Ripping that away. Front edge. You can cut top to bottom, bottom to top, whichever is more comfortable for you. And you can cut whichever side you'd like first. Again, whichever is more comfortable for you. We'll finish by cutting that back edge. Then we can just pull the material off, clean up the edges, and we'll go ahead and install it. Very straightforward. Make sure it's facing the right way, and I'll do this by just freehand peeling it. Rinse it out really nice. While I was squeegeeing, I rubbed it between my teeth to release the liner. So we can just slide it, pull the liner off, and spray it up. I'm gonna go a little crazy with the soapy water just to make sure, because that gasket is really tight on the top edge. We'll start by laying the back edge on, twisting it into place, trying to get it into the bottom gasket, get it into the top. And that went in a lot smoother than I thought. Do some slight adjustments, make sure there's no light gaps. You may need to use the Easy Reach to pull away at the gasket around the edges, specifically the bottom. Make sure that's overlapped down there. Pull that away, lay it into place. Just fine tuning, looking inside, make sure there's no light gaps. Look outside, make sure there's no gaps across the top, and this looks good. So since I did use a lot of soapy water, what I'm going to do is, and you may get this little sliver of rubber here from cutting the edge. That's why I like to go around the edge with the stick or your yellow turbo squeegee, just to make sure that releases before you give it to the customer. That way you can just pull it off so they don't say anything. We're going to heat this from the outside since I did use a lot of soapy water before I do the initial squeegee, so let's do that. I like to spray the inside with a little soapy water. That way when I'm ready to squeegee it, it's already lubricated. And what this is doing is just heating the glass up so that when I do that first initial tack, it sticks into place and doesn't move at all. So we'll go ahead and do a very light initial tack, going slightly harder as we squeegee out the rest. I'm pulling the heat gun away. You don't want to overheat the material. We got that first initial tack, it's not going anywhere. Once you have the majority of the window squeegeed out, we can go ahead and take the Easy Reach. I'll use the short side on this. And we'll go start from the back corner, or the front corner, and work our way back. And then down the back side. And then down the front side to finish off. You can see right here we have a little bit of debris. We can heat that up. Work it out very easily with the Easy Reach edge. Most of it's actually just water. You want to be careful not to heat up around the gaskets too much because you can cause them to burn. That looks good. We'll come back to it when we finish up everything. We'll let that sit for a little bit so we don't overheat it. And then let's start putting the gaskets back in, and then we'll hop on the back window. So at the front door, you just want to make sure the gasket's in the right position. Pull the panel back, slide it onto the track, the top of the door, push it down into place, line it up, and pop it into place. Make sure it's nice and tight. And then to put this plastic back in, it's simply just pop straight on, pull the handle away, pop into place. Do the same thing with the rear door. And the plastic cover. Sometimes when you install these plastic covers, they may not clip all the way. So a good way to test that they're in is just take the handle and go like this. And if it doesn't fall out, chances are it's in there pretty good. All right, for this rear window, and like every rear window I do on the vehicle specific database, I pre-cut it because every back window is the same. If there were something special about a back window, I would hand cut it for you guys, but this is very straightforward. You know, do your glass aid tape or however you want to do it with cutting it out on the back window. Do your bulk cut, lay it out, shrink it, and then do your final cut, but we already have this pre-cut, so very straightforward. We're going to shrink this, and I'll show you guys the installation. Before we shrink it, of course, we're going to lay down the H pattern. Tack that into place. and then we'll go at it. All right, that's completely shrunk. Let's spray the perimeter and squeegee out the perimeter to avoid any debris from dripping in. Then we'll go inside and do the inside prep of the back window. All right, so to make everything a lot easier, we're gonna take the headrests out first, since they come out so easily. It's just a button on the side. And if you'd like, you could even take out the brake light. It doesn't pop out as easy as I thought, so we're gonna leave it. There's plenty of space for the bulldozer to go behind there. Let's go ahead with the inside prep, spray it up a bit, take the scrubber, go across the bottom. And again, this car is very standard, laying up the bottom edge, sliding it down, gradually working way down, making sure the sides go in between the pillars and the glass. Make sure there's no light gaps. And then we'll spray up the film and go ahead and squeegee it out, making sure there's no air bubbles here. Work those out with our hands. Remember, if you guys need further reference on proper installation of the back window and a more detailed instruction, you're going to want to refer to the automotive tinting course, where we go over different installation methods like the reverse roll and Frankenstein off the door instead of the back window. Go across the bottom with the side swiper, starting from the center. And then behind the brake light with the bulldozer. Go across the top with the yellow turbo wrapped in the blue Huck towel. And then we'll wipe the window down. While I'm doing this, I hear some dripping. It's the water dripping into the trunk, so we'll check that out and see where it's dripping from, so you guys can avoid that when you do this. Just to check the trunk, make sure the customer doesn't have any valuables back there that would get dripped on. So let's check that out. So you can see the water drips right here and right here, so both corners. So if there were anything back here, you can even be proactive and lay a towel down to make sure there's no water dripping in the trunk whatsoever, which I'm going to do. And that'll just make cleanup a bit easier. So now the inside's all squeegeed out, we can spray the outside up, wipe off the dryer sheet. We'll do a final inspection with the heat gun to make sure everything's laid down nicely. Everything looks like it laid down very nicely, nice and smooth, nothing popping up. The dot matrix is already laying down nice and smooth, so there's nothing further we have to do with this. There's a little air bubble here. That's it. The only thing you would have left to do is to clean the windows with the window cleaner, put the headrest back in, and that is how you tint a 2017 Mazda 3. I'll see you guys in the next vehicle specific video.